We are at one of the key sites in Europe's race against China when it comes to technology.
This has been Europe's economic weak spot, the EV battery cell. It's the most valuable component of an electric vehicle, and Europe has repeatedly failed at producing it, while China has thrived. Gigafactories like this one of French company Verkor are meant to change that.
So the batteries being built here are being built with as little influence from outside of Europe as possible.
Europe is pouring over €1 billion of public money into factories like this one, and it's throwing its political weight behind battery makers.
And the big question is whether it will pay off in the end.
Growing its own battery industry is key for the future of Europe's economy. Demand for electric vehicles in Europe is growing. Sales were up by 36% during the first half of this year compared to last, in part because of rising gas prices caused by the war in Iran. That's good news for Europe's green energy transition, and it can be a big economic opportunity for its car industry. But so far, Europe is buying practically all of its EV batteries from Asian companies, with China's share steadily increasing. There are many battery factories inside Europe, but virtually all of them are run by foreign companies. What's more, the critical raw materials, so the ingredients needed to produce batteries, are imported from China as well. Korea and China began producing batteries long before Europe did. In China, the industry has also benefited from subsidies on a scale unmatched elsewhere. The result? Asian battery manufacturing is often more advanced and cheaper. Producing batteries in European factories like this one is 90% more expensive than in China right now, according to a recent study. But why bother making them in Europe at all? For one, relying on China is risky.
Simply being so dependent on this makes it easy for China to weaponize it.
Alexander Lipke researches Europe's battery cooperation with Asia.
The battery supply chain is very much in the focus of the Chinese leadership when it comes to its leverage points and its cards that it thinks it has in the looming trade confrontation with the EU and with Europe.
Last year, China imposed export controls on its critical raw materials as part of its trade dispute with the United States. The move put Europe's car production at risk in particular. And there's another reason. By buying the most valuable part of electric cars from abroad, Europe is missing out on an opportunity to boost its own industry. That's why the European Union is pushing for more European battery makers.
Europe must be in control of the critical technologies that will shape the economy of tomorrow.
To help Europe's battery makers catch up to cheap Chinese competition, the EU recently proposed a plan called Made in Europe. The idea, only EVs with European-made batteries will qualify for subsidies like tax breaks.
The idea and the logic of Buy European is to try and close this, not close the price gap because you won't close it, but to create a different incentive next to the price incentive for firms to go for European batteries.
That's what brings us to this battery factory. It kicked into gear at the end of 2025.
Right now, just in France, there are only 3 plants, and we are the only one which is fully independent.
If all goes to plan, this factory will make enough battery cells for up to 300,000 electric vehicles every year. Renault, which owns a stake in Verkor, has already signed up to buy them for its electric vehicles. The French government invested €750 million in subsidies in Verkor, according to the company. But so far, Verkor hasn't passed the biggest hurdle: mass production. Just 1 of 4 factory lines here are up and running at the moment. Verkor wants to ramp up production by the end of the year.
Being in this state-of-the-art factory, you can really see the massive amounts of investments that are going into this project. And the big question is whether it will pay off in the end.
So far, Europe has a bad track record when it comes to batteries. Many of its attempts to make them have failed. The most prominent example, Swedish company Northvolt. It was one of the world's most valuable battery startups, raising around $13 billion. In 2025, it went bankrupt. Because of a host of problems, one of them, Northvolt reportedly relied too much on machines and experts from China to function on its own. Another reason, these are precision products. Mass producing them at high quality is hard.
The challenge is ramping that up to kind of full capacities at the site.
Ben McWilliams specializes in EU energy policy.
That's what Chinese companies have been so good at, is ramping up and kind of reducing or minimizing failure rates, basically being very good at making battery cells in an efficient manner.
To get its factory running at full speed, Werke also has to rely on support from outside Europe.
We know the difficulty of battery industry is the start, is the ramp up. And this is mainly due to the complexity of the process. We have hired experienced person who already has the experience of launching a gigafactory. Most of them are Asian because they already worked in a gigafactory in the past, and we use their experience to be as fast as possible.
But there is another hurdle in Europe's battery race against China. Remember this graphic? Making batteries at home is one thing. Getting the materials to make them is another.
What's this powder?
It's a graphite.
Okay. And who's the supplier?
Asian supplier.
This graphite is just one of many materials Europe gets from Asia. Take this, for example.
Lithium. It's the core component of any battery.
Underneath this old mine in central France lies a lithium reserve. According to Imerys, the minerals group that owns it, it's Europe's biggest and the fourth biggest in the world. But even though Europe has its own lithium reserves, it currently produces next to none of it. Most of the lithium is mined in Australia and Chile, then sent to China to be purified. Now, Europe is pushing for more independence. For more than a century, this mine has produced kaolin, a white clay. Soon it could be producing lithium for Europe's battery industry.
This little hole to explore the rock that's laying underground here is just the beginning of what's supposed to turn into one of Europe's biggest lithium mines.
Loic runs the operations for Imerys.
So this is what's underneath us
Exactly.
right now.
This is a piece of the deposit.
So where's the lithium here? Because all I see is rock.
So this is a granite, right? So granite is composed mainly about three elements. There are shiny flakes, or what we call mica. Mm-hmm. And there are different kinds of mica, and this one is lepidolite mica. Mm-hmm. And this one contains lithium. Today, only Chinese are refining lepidolite mica, but it's not rocket science, and we can rely on the strong skills in Europe, in France, to do that.
By 2030, Europe wants to cover 10% of its own needs for critical raw materials from inside the continent, up from basically 0% now. It wants to expedite the paperwork needed to get projects like this off the ground. French President Emmanuel Macron inaugurated the mine earlier this year. But projects like this one are controversial. In different parts of Europe, people living near proposed lithium mines have taken to the streets. Many worry about the environmental risks. Mining projects in Serbia and Portugal have been put on hold because of backlash. Like any large-scale mining operation, lithium extraction comes with costs. It can require large amounts of water and carries a risk of pollution if mining waste isn't managed properly. And there's another problem: cash. To start mining and refining lithium here in France by 2030, Imerys says it needs more money.
2030 is tomorrow. It's going to be a huge challenge, technically speaking.
Until now, only the French state has invested 50 million euros, but the mine is still looking for private investment.
To be frank, these are not super attractive investments. China has been very successful at building these out. They're hard things to build. They're enormous facilities, energy intensive, capital intensive. It's very hard to get these things right and do them properly. And they require basically a lot of foresight about the future. They require a large upfront investment today and kind of knowing what future demand looks like for your product.
Visiting the key sites in Europe's push to catch up to China on batteries, a complicated picture emerges. The EU is pushing for independence from China, and European companies are trying to make it happen.
So European companies have proven they can do this. They've built facilities, they're making battery cells as we speak. The challenge is ramping that up to kind of full capacities at the site, which is hard.
But with over a decade of development to catch up on, and with less money than Chinese companies at their disposal, European firms face an uphill battle.
The idea that Europe breaks itself off from Asia and decides to build an own domestic battery industry is pretty much just not plausible.
Full autonomy might be an unrealistic goal, but if battery factories like this one make it past the start, Europe has a shot at producing its own batteries at scale and growing an industry that doesn't completely rely on the outside world.